It's over for clown and chief Gary Gensler, chairman of the SEC, looking absolutely beautiful in these photos. As the court case with Ripple comes to a head, what's next for them and the XRP token? It's safe to say that Gary Gensler and the SEC have virtually no ammo left and will likely wither away with the current administration because it's plain that a character like Clown and Chief Gensler will have to hop on board the Trump pro-crypto train at this point or get out. Also, Germany has succeeded finally in sending the rest of its Bitcoin to exchanges. As you can see here, they are holding 0 Bitcoin, and in the process, we saw Bitcoin dump from about $63,000 down to $53,000 on the news and the added sell pressure alone. But is the market ready to turn up now? Inflation is down, TradFi markets are up, and we're still getting a lot of weird and mixed signals. XRP is most definitely up about 25% this last week since July 5th till present day. From its local bottom at 38 cents is now the time to get in. Well, we may not be out of the woods just yet, and in this video I'll be covering some of the latest news, key catalysts that could send XRP to the stratosphere, and I hope to help you gain clarity on how to approach your crypto and XRP bags. So let's get into it. So I don't want to bore the typical audience on this channel, right? People who've obviously been up to date on the SEC, Gary Gensler, the lawsuit, and just how long this has really taken. It's been about a 4-year process, millions of dollars down the road, and we're finally just getting to the point of a head where a decision is going to be made. We're going to get a settlement. Now, there's plenty of good news around that, and realistically, there's been a lawyer on that's consistently been following the case saying that it's likely they're going to settle for about $25 million, but ultimately that settlement would not overturn Judge Torres and a few other key points that have been made in the courts around the fact that XRP is not a security. That said, Gary Gensler has basically, in my opinion, and in the opinions of the majority of voters in crypto and people that run and operate companies and that want to do it in a legal manner in the United States, think that it's a total clown show. At the time of his meeting, and so we're just going to cover a bit of this case, what's going on behind the scenes, what the future potential looks like, and then we're going to move on forward. So in this article, it says at the time of his meeting with Gensler, Bankman-Fried was in the process of acquiring a stake in the stock exchange IEX. The pitch for a new SEC-approved crypto trading platform. They included a top FTX lawyer who had worked with Gensler and who in private had reportedly bragged about his access to Gary. This meeting was coming on the heels of a dinner Bankman-Fried arranged with the SEC's incoming general counsel, Dan Berkovitz. Well, Berkovitz recently stepped down. Moving on, it was not the first time that Gensler met with Bankman-Fried and other FTX representatives. There were also a previously disclosed session in late 2021. So you have to think about this. All of this stuff is going down, and Gensler's totally happy to meet and sit with Bankman-Fried, a total and absolute fraudster, around the same time and after they had already created this lawsuit with Ripple. So it's obvious that they weren't playing fair, and that Bankman-Fried had some level of a political tie and a connection with Gensler to even get that meeting, because very few companies can. But when we spoke, it was unclear whether there had been any other meetings between the two men, which might raise further questions among the public about Bankman-Fried's access to U.S. regulators. And it's kind of funny, right, when we think about the U.S. and lobbying. I mean, Bankman-Fried was literally one of the biggest, if not the biggest contributor in terms of political donations in 2020 and during that time. So it's no wonder that he was able to get access to these types of players, and it's no wonder that his parents were very well connected to Gensler as well. Now, why does this matter? Because even after, all of his talks over at MIT talking about crypto and how 75% of cryptos aren't securities. He's still sitting here, right, meeting with Bankman-Fried, and then after the whole debacle and collapse, he goes on to say investors should remain cautious about the myriad of risks associated with Bitcoin and products whose value is tied to crypto. And so at this point, no one really takes him seriously anymore, right? And this is what Winklevoss had to say recently. And Tyler Winklevoss, just so you know, is one of the founders and owners of Gemini, which is an exchange of crypto in the US. In 2018, Gary Gensler taught a course at MIT called Blockchain and Money. In those lectures, he famously said that 3/4 of digital assets are not securities. All of these lectures are online. Now, this is what's really weird and interesting, with the one exception, Lecture 18. What's up with this, Gary? It's kind of interesting that, the SEC was able to go onto this board for these lectures at MIT and take one thing down that would arguably incriminate them and screw their entire case up, which means they're not really willing to be transparent or fair. And it's obvious, right, when you have someone like Brad Garlinghouse stepping in a few hours ago to make the comment that he says he runs an agency that espouses the value of transparency. In fact, he sends people to jail for not providing accurate transparency. Yet, somehow he believes transparency doesn't apply to him and the SEC. So, at this point, it's safe to say that Gary Gensler and these guys are running a clown show. And, at this point, the tides are turning. Here's what the chief legal officer over at Ripple had to say. Policymakers on both sides of the aisle are getting increasingly frustrated with the lack of legislative progress on crypto as the US continues to fall behind the rest of the world. Why? Well, simple, because we are pushing innovation outside of the country because companies are worried, right? They're going to go get attacked retroactively by the clown show over at the SEC. While our case as a whole isn't fully over, remedies still to be decided, the court's ruling that XRP is not a security will not change. Even the SEC told the court it will not challenge that conclusion. So that's very good news and a very positive sign that at this point, right, we just have to wait for a bullish market environment because once they settle, we're headed to the moon in terms of XRP and the price. That runaway is running out. Sorry, don't be distracted by the SEC's continued efforts to mire Ripple and the industry in the litigation trenches. That runway is running out for the SEC. Ripple and the entire industry has and will emerge stronger long after Chair Gensler is gone. So when will Gensler be gone? Because this court case is virtually over. Now it just requires a settlement that they're trying to continue to push forever into the future. But in the minds of people who are in the know and have been keeping track of this thing, it's over. The SEC is not winning their case against Ripple. And so this doesn't really help now, right, in terms of Gensler's job security when the U.S. House postpones to overturn Joe Biden's veto. What's next? It would come as a shocker to many. The U.S. House of Representatives has delayed its vote on H.J. Resolution 109, which aims to overturn President Joe Biden's veto of a pivotal cryptocurrency regulation. H.J. Resolution 109 seeks to counter a veto concerning Staff Accounting Bulletin 121, a 2022 SEC rule mandating that companies holding cryptocurrencies for clients must record these assets as liabilities on their balance sheets. Despite bipartisan efforts to overturn the veto, Congress has yet to secure the necessary votes. What's this mean? That anything involving crypto at this point in time has been just grossly mismanaged and continue to push onto the back burner by the Biden administration and officials within it. Now, you could argue, are they politically attacking it? Are they bowing down to their masters of money over in Washington who don't want crypto to win because it provides, workarounds in terms of the traditional financial world and arguably threatens the wealth of many folks who've made all of their money in the traditional financial world and through fiat currency? But still, the tides are turning, as the chief legal officer at Ripple said. In this article, Coinbase believes crypto voters will play a major role in the U.S. presidential elections. Crypto voters are going to make a big difference in November's key races. They're more bipartisan than you think and are enthusiastic to vote, which will have a significant impact on the 2024 election. And, newsflash, that's actually a really good thing for the entire industry of crypto and Ripple. Surveys reveal that Gen Z and millennials comprise 65% of registered voters who own crypto. Additionally, 40% of these voters reside in swing states. That's insane, ladies and gentlemen, with 35% of non-white voters among the crypto-owning demographic, making them a diverse and politically active group. Meanwhile, studies indicate that 9 out of 10 registered voters who own crypto are likely to vote in November election. In other words, this is a very key and important point for most voters, okay? A lot of people that might not vote, well, guess what? They're not people that hold and own crypto. The people that are going to go out and vote are the people that hold and own crypto, and these are younger people, which means either the Biden administration, for what he has to offer in terms of, mental fitness, which isn't much, really has to jump on board crypto or forget it altogether. And so far, all the news on their end has consistently been negative, right? Even if the House does pass a resolution that's positive for crypto and some regulatory clarity, Congress fails to pass it. And even if it gets past that point, Biden ends up vetoing it. So at no point in time have they been friendly with crypto, right? And so again, it begs the question, what's really going on over in Washington? Furthermore, these voters are 4 times more enthusiastic about supporting a pro-crypto candidate. Enter Donald Trump. Donald Trump is going to head to Bitcoin 2024. And this is actually the first time that he's been to a major crypto conference. Former U.S. President and current Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump will take the stage at the 2024 conference in Nashville, Tennessee, here on July 25th and 27th. And, there's obviously a group of key players and big names like Michael Saylor going to this thing. But what's actually interesting and crazy is that his proactive approach towards the crypto industry has resonated positively with substantial campaign contributions from notable figures such as the Winklevoss twins, which we just talked about, and Jerome Powell, which is really interesting. It's one of those people that I would have not expected to politically donate, right, to Donald Trump. And that would just be to save his ass and job and not worry about, the political backlash that could potentially come from donating to someone like Donald Trump, which is a very polarizing figure in Washington. And when you have a job like Jerome Powell, everyone watches everything you do, right? He's the chairman of the Federal Reserve. So it's likely that Donald Trump is going to win the election. Not only is he favored in virtually all the polls, but it's hard for anyone to be mentally honest with themselves, right? And intellectually honest with themselves, I should say, when they watch Joe Biden consistently murmur on stages all around the world, like this week.
And now I want to hand it over to the president of Ukraine, who has as much courage as he has determination. Ladies and gentlemen, President Putin. President Putin. We're going to beat President Putin. And now I want to hand it over to the president.
As you can see, he's even screwing up in front of Zelensky. Joe Biden has become the official sugar daddy of Ukraine. But this is just one example out of hundreds at this point. Joe Biden seems to have dementia and some mental issues. And, currently, or as of recently, the House has actually sent subpoenas to his medical providers and doctors to figure out what the results of his mental fitness tests were. Because, we obviously can tell just by looking at him and how he operates in public. But then it's another thing for doctors to consistently sign off and say he's completely fit and mentally healthy when it doesn't seem to be the case. Look at how he's screwing up in terms of shaking Schumer's hand. Chuck Schumer right here. Here's Joe Biden shaking his hand by forgetting within 3 seconds that he already did it.
Now our great speaker, our partner, who all of these bills we've met.
Now we got to be careful because I don't want to get too mean here, but I halfway expected him to poop his pants like he probably recently has. So he's losing in virtually all the polls. He's losing, the confidence of not only his voters, but even Democratic officials and candidates and everyone on his side of the party lines. So it might be bad news for Democrats, right? And if you're a fan, I'm sorry to see that that's the candidate, that's the best candidate that you can put out there. But it's a very positive thing for crypto. And as of recently, Brad Garlinghouse was actually meeting with Congressman Ro Khanna and other political and prominent figures like Mark Cuban, Coinbase Chief Legal Officer Paul Grewal, and Circle, which is a stablecoin issuer, Chief Strategy Officer Dante Disparte. And at the meeting, the Ripple CEO added that it was no wonder the Republican Party chose to adopt an openly pro-crypto stance, highlighting that the issue has become a key concern for voters. Words are easy, action is hard but necessary. Choose wisely, the voters are paying attention. So, at this point in time, I think a lot of the 2024 election is going to hinge on better policy making for the entire crypto industry. And we have a lot of money going into it. Just how much?
Together to be a force in
About 160 million to be exact. Watch this video.
Crypto companies are banding together to be a force in the 2024 election, and they are already influencing Capitol Hill. In the past month, Coinbase, Ripple, and Andreessen Horowitz have all donated to Fairshake PAC, the fourth largest political action committee playing in 2024, currently according to Open Secrets. The group raised $160 million by the end of May, and more than 1 million people have signed up to be crypto advocates with the nonprofit Stand With Crypto.
So it's safe to say that crypto at this point is not only here to stay, but it's on the ballot, with 47% of American voters indicating that they expect some of their investment portfolio to include crypto. Then if that's the case, why isn't crypto going up? When we go ahead and look at Google Trends, I have the chart pulled back to January 1st of 2023, which essentially marks the bottom of this current bull run. And this is indicating interest over time. As you can see here, numbers represent search interest relative to the highest point on the chart for the given region and time. A value of 100 is peak popularity for the term. A value of 50 means that the term is half as popular. Okay, a score of 0 means that not enough data is there for the term. Now, I'm comparing Coinbase and Bitcoin. Why? Because Bitcoin is simply the asset and the mothership of crypto. And so, it's the first thing that everyone else knows about in the world and would search. Not everyone knows about XRP, contrary to popular opinion, although it is arguably one of the most known cryptos. More people know about Bitcoin. More people invest in Bitcoin as well. And that's indicative on the chart in terms of the total amount of money in it, right? And the market cap. So I'm just looking at Bitcoin as the mothership of crypto, Coinbase as the place in which the majority of Americans buy. And Americans typically have the most money for things in terms of, consumer capital. So that and disposable income, even though that has declined. So that said, I'm just looking at the trends here. And as you can see here, sometimes they spike in union, other times, right? Bitcoin spikes, but Coinbase actually flatlines and goes down. And that's an indicator of the fact that less people are going to buy it, even though it's being talked about. So I like to see a positive correlation on the trend. In other words, when one is going up, I like to see the other going up. And if I don't, that means something is off. So in this case right here, as you can see here, from February 4th to 10th of 2024, Bitcoin was at about an average, a 34 rating relative to its major popularity, whereas Coinbase was at a 5. Then at the peak in March 3rd through 9th, Bitcoin hit 100 in terms of popularity, the highest score it can possibly get. Coinbase was at 14, which means the majority of people and retail investors were buying, right? And whenever you see this in terms of Google Trends, that's a good indicator, right? And then you start to see it flatline and drop off a bit, that a lot of retail, whoever was going to get in, has got in at these prices. And so it might not be a bad time to de-risk. And we've actually remained flat and dumped quite a bit, and Bitcoin hit its low from June June 16th to the 22nd of a 33 score, and Coinbase was at a 4. Coinbase has remained at a 4 even though Bitcoin popularity has climbed. And that could be due to a number of factors. People are talking about it. People are talking about how Bitcoin dumped. Popularity simply means searches. People might just have heard Bitcoin dumped a lot, and so they searched it on Google. But the Coinbase value is also equally important. And the fact that it's remaining flat doesn't tell me that a bunch of buyers have stepped in just yet, at least from the retail side. However, institutions are buying Bitcoin in droves. As shared by market intelligence platform CryptoQuant on Thursday, institutions loosely defined as Bitcoin wallets holding between 1,000 Bitcoin, which is a boatload of Bitcoin, and 10,000 Bitcoin, have been accumulating coins at their second fastest rate this year since the start of July. This means that, unlike what was seen in March, which was a demand more linked to fundraising, the current institutional accumulation may indicate a true process of buying the dip in large players. Short-term Bitcoin holders have been holding their coins for between 1 to 3 months, have actually capitulated over the last month. In other words, right, smaller buyers or short-term buyers, traders, have capitulated. They sold their Bitcoin, they gave up the position because they've consistently held a losing position. And that's typically what's needed, a bit of a reset in order for the market to start turning up again. So now we're going to take a look at the chart of Bitcoin and then the chart of XRP, and then talk about what could potentially happen. So the first thing that you want to notice right here, okay, is that we consistently sold off right here at the $71,000 level, okay, 71.5 to 7. Then we started painting a new downtrend, a series of lower lows and lower highs. And arguably, this is an intermediate term downtrend. As you can see here. How do we know this? Well, because we broke below this low. Anytime you get a new low that is lower than the previous low, that is what you consider a downtrend. Now we're just going to delete all those lines so it becomes very clean and simple. However, there are cases and situations, okay, in which what you see something like this. You see a double bottom right here, right? You could argue that it was right there at about $54,000, and then a break right back above the previous low for a bear trap. People are trapped into being bearish here, and then the market continues moving in this direction. So it is very much a possible and potential outcome. My only concern at this point for the entire crypto market is the fact that this pressure right here, okay, and the sell pressure at about the $58,000 level doesn't actually break down. So we are right now in what I would call no man's land. It's decision time. Bitcoin is putting in new higher lows. It's flattening out at the $58,000 level and seeing sell pressure. The good news is that with all of the selling that we just saw from Germany, the market did eat it up. Institutional players are accumulating and buying. And so if I were a betting man in this type of an environment and situation, even if we break down a little bit more into the $55,000 range and then started breaking right back into the $58,000 range, then this would be a good dip buying opportunity. In other words, whenever you start to see something, a lot of other people start to see it too. And so the market reacts and responds to basically get the most people out of the market before doing its own thing, whether that's moving up, breaking down, breaking back out, and then down all the way. I mean, I don't typically like to play in ranges where you start to see a widening pattern because that's erratic market behavior. It's not acting like its normal self. And so there's a lot of risk that you're taking on for that type of an opportunity in a trade. More often than not, I like to see tightening patterns where volume starts to confirm things. Here's what I do know though. Right now, we have a decent amount of volume that has traded right here at the $57,000 level. Our next major range of support would be about $51,000, and the largest range of support would be about $44,000 to $42,000. And even if we did break down to the $42,000 level, right, that would still be considered a longer-term multi-year uptrend. Right, I'm going to go ahead and toss it on a daily time frame. I'm going to take a line tool, and I'm just going to go from these local bottoms to this bottom right here. Drag that all the way, hitting as many points as possible. And so even if Bitcoin did dump in here, right, and started going back up to new all-time highs, ultimately that's still a major long-term uptrend. So right now we are still trending up. We are in an intermediate term downtrend. Manage your risk accordingly. The good news, in terms of XRP and Ripple, and we'll just go to this chart right now, is that it's looking a heck of a lot stronger. So I would like to see some serious follow through above this range high at 48 cents, and then potentially for us to break above that 52-cent range, because that would be my next major range of support and resistance right here at about 52 to 53 cents. If we can break back into this range with a bit of, volatility in between is totally fine. As long as we're painting a new trend, I'm happy. The good news is the dip did get bought up to 38 cents. And so if Bitcoin started dumping to $42,000, right, then I could thoroughly expect XRP to likely dump back to 38 cents, and I would say even arguably 30 cents at most. But XRP has actually shown less capitulation, more strong buyers, more strength. We've seen institutional buyers buying this consistently throughout this entire range from April till present day, and I've seen that on the charts. I've showed you guys in past videos, so if you want to go watch some of those videos, go ahead and do it. But XRP is actually looking stronger. If I go from this most previous range high right here, okay, and I'm going to go ahead and pull up a chart of BTC USD, and we're going to pull that up against each other. And as you can see from the same range, yes, they trade relatively correlated. They're both dumping around the same time, and they both dumped hard here on July 5th. However, Bitcoin has consistently remained flat while XRP has pumped. And this is indicative of strength. In other words, there is more strength right now in an XRP than there is in a Bitcoin, which could mean a couple of different things, right? That Bitcoin is either seeing more sell pressure, and that makes sense with Germany selling and the fears around that. But it also could mean that there's simply less short sellers on XRP, and there was far more capitulation. And so since there's less pressure to the downside, the only natural way for it to move is up. That is a good, strong sign of strength as an indicator. So that said, I'm actually more bullish right now, XRP, than I am in terms of risk to reward versus Bitcoin. I still would like to see it break above the 55-cent range, and if it did, and these other positive catalysts from a positive crypto election to, a settlement and the end of this just insanely long SEC lawsuit, it comes to its head, would be very, very happy, because I think XRP has some legs and could see a new all-time high on a lot of this stuff. And also, summers are typically slow. If the summer's slow and we start to see a lot of positive price action come October, November, December, then the sky's the limit, truly. So anyways, if you enjoyed the video, thanks so much for watching. Smash the subscribe button to get more videos like this. It also helps the channel out. And also, head to bullrunners.com to get early access to our underground guidebook to become a crypto millionaire. Thanks so much for watching, and leave a comment below. Let us know what you think is going to happen, and I'll see you in the next video.